Welcome to my show. I'm Shelly Bond. One of my many roles is a mama, a healer, a spiritual practitioner, a yogi, a soul sister, and a forever learner and grower on this planet and this thing called life. One of my many dharmas, my life's purpose, is to bring as much love and healing to the world as possible. I've created this space as a connecting point for women to bring us together, to have the hard talks, to share these raw, vulnerable pieces of ourselves, and to know that you are not alone. I'm right here with you walking this path. I love you. Hello, my beautiful friends and soul sisters. How are you today? I'm here holding space, here with a grateful heart and having more energy today. Yesterday, I had this just like crap dump of energy. I was feeling low vibes. I couldn't even bring myself to get out of my yoga clothes or put any makeup on, and I just felt blah. But I still showed up and I did homeschool with my daughter, and I actually made 3 really beautiful malas. It's funny, I was busting out and making so many malas probably 6 months ago, and then it just kind of paused, and I feel that inspiration again. And it's such this creative outlet that I love. And it's the holiday season. It's a holiday season. It's like we're on the first week of December, and whether you celebrate Christmas or Hanukkah or Kwanzaa, or maybe don't celebrate any holidays, but for me, I love Christmas. I love the decorations. And in the mountains right now, it has been today was crazy when the boys and Junie were getting ready for school. It was like a blizzard. The mountains were and the snow was coming in that horizontal sheets of snow, just and now it's just cold and blistery and windy. You go outside and it cuts through your coat and through your skin into your bones, and it's it's really freaking cold. And I have been definitely not being outside a lot, and I've talked about this before, but if you're like me in the winter and you don't get outside a lot, it's super important to find a really good vitamin D supplement, so you're making sure that you're outsourcing that sunshine, because I have been not getting outside as much. But you know what? I have been sitting by the window, and there's this white blanket on the earth, and I'm sure I'm getting that shining sun. And oh my gosh, did you see the moon last night? I don't know if last night was the full moon. I think it was, or the night before, but it has been beautiful. And this huge full moon, and when it's all white and snowy, it's lit up like it's the afternoon. It is some magical energy outside, and just I've really been allowing myself to absorb that energy, even if it's just putting my head by the window and soaking up that moonlight. And lately I have not been called to put my malas in the window, which is interesting. Malas are the necklaces that I've been making, which is interesting because I was making so many malas and I was on a roll. I created my company, Awaken You Malas, and I was crushing it. And then all of a sudden it was crickets, and I got really discouraged. So I paused, and I've been just making malas for energy trades with friends or gifts. I love giving them as gifts. And so it is the gift giving season right now. And there's so many things with that, but I've really been feeling this new awakening within myself about creating and making gifts. I love to make things from my heart and give them as gifts. It just feels great. I mean, and sometimes buying gifts feels great too if I feel really connected to that, but I'm making some gifts for some friends, and I have some of these girls so my sister's, this long story, but we have time. My sister met this family, and they have had 2 girls who are 15 and 12, and then a little baby, and we're living in a camper. Long story short, these little girls were at home when their mom actually died of a drug overdose. The 15-year-old found her, I think, when she was really little, and she might not have quite understood. Maybe she was old enough. And then they got a new stepmother who was really the evil stepmother who was so freaking mean to these girls, like just like an awful human to them, and like almost like jealous of the relationship that their dad had with them. And those two had a baby together, and again, they were living out of a camper, so we would meet them for camper trips. And I never really understood my sister's connection to them because I was like, who are these people? And what? They're treating their girls like shit. Like, I can't deal with this. But it was always this connection with these girls. So, long story short, the girls are now in foster care in South Dakota. And they're these just like beautiful girls. I think they're Native American, and just I have a bigger connection with a 12-year-old daughter, and they're just like being shuffled around, and it breaks my heart in foster care. And my sister has like been trying to get a hold of their caseworker to see if they can come with us, but apparently they can't because we don't live in South Dakota and that we're not family. And it's this whole shitstorm of dysfunction in the system. And recently, the foster mom, my sister actually got to talk to her because she was kind of leery of talking to the foster mom, because the foster mom has three of her own kids, one other foster kid, and then these two girls. So six kids in her home. She separated the girls from each other. They're sleeping on freaking mattresses. It's like just like a very sad, sad story. And she told my sister that the youngest girl, that I just like, I love her so much, and I'm putting just so much light into the world for her. Oh my gosh, she was amazing. Like, I taught her how to make a mala, and she made her own mala. And I love her. I know that there is some heart connection between us. And so the foster mom said that she's not able to keep Sienna, who's the youngest daughter, but she is able to keep the 15-year-old daughter. And it's like, wait, what? Like, you can keep one daughter, but you can't keep the other. And so just like, okay, then what? Then just Sienna goes wherever. So my sister is like doing all of this runaround work. And I have my other sister, Amy, who for 5 years, like, tried to adopt a baby, a third baby. She has two kiddos. And long story short, let's put this vibe into the universe. Hopefully this beautiful girl, this beautiful light comes into our family, and my sister can adopt her. It would be amazing. There's like so many hoops to jump through, but it's just like one of those divine experiences where you don't know why people are in your life, but when you just keep showing up with heart and love and just keep showing up, like, the universe aligns. And Junie is so sweet. She's like, oh my gosh, I want her to come and be my sister. And I'm like, oh, honey, I wish it was that easy. I wish we could just take Sienna and just, she could be ours forever. She could be a part of our family, and she could know what it feels like to be loved. Like this poor little girl on Thanksgiving, the family, the foster family that she's with, couldn't afford to take her and her sister was allowed to go to a friend's house, but Sienna wasn't. So she just got like, oh, dumped off on another foster family. And then when they came home, they took her back. And it's like, oh, breaks my freaking heart. And it just also makes me feel so grateful for my family and my kids. And even with all of the things that Rex and I have gone through that are like for our stability. So with your love and heart, maybe together you could imagine this beautiful girl, this beautiful 12-year-old, just with such a bright light. Maybe you could imagine seeing her with my family and take a moment and just see her, allowing her to feel what it feels like to feel loved, unconditionally loved by a family. I can just see her with me and my sisters and my brother-in-laws and all of the cousins on the holidays, and that she is just part of our family. Oh, it makes me teary-eyed, sad, because also I'm putting this energy out, but there's also, I don't have control over this, and I'm just trusting that everything happens for a reason. And sometimes though, with life, like, we do have to like go after things that we want. And my sisters, both Jenny and Amy, are like the right women to do that. They're very big advocates. So maybe if you could just send that vision out into the universe and help manifest bringing this beautiful soul into our family, into a safe space to be loved and supported. And yes, thank you for letting me share that story with you. It is like a vulnerable story and hard to tell, and I'm sure I missed a million details, but it is on my heart. And what else is on my heart? It was my anniversary yesterday, December 7th. It was my 19th year anniversary. And I just felt in this like funky funk. Like I didn't get out of my yoga clothes. I did not brush my hair. I did brush my teeth. I've had this like weird rash on my like where my lip is onto my like face. And I've been putting Manuka honey, which has been actually amazing to help heal this like space on my face. Have you ever heard of Manuka honey? It's like this magical honey that comes from New Zealand. It has all of these like magical healing properties that my sister Jenny told me all about. It's really good for immune boosting. It's good for like infections on the skin. And it's really amazing. And I've literally been just like putting this manuka straight on my face, and I have to like move my hair up and over on the other side of my body so then the honey doesn't get stuck to my face. But I will say that this rash that I've been experiencing is probably like 70% better by wearing manuka honey on it for 3 days straight. I'm very grateful. Thank you, manuka honey. Thank you. I'm so grateful that there are some things from nature that can help us and heal us when we don't have like the mind power or the willpower to heal ourselves. And I don't have to just like reach for a prescription or something that's probably going to be detrimental to another part of my body. Okay, so yes, back to my anniversary. Yeah, it was just a funky day. And we actually have, if you've been listening, we have a dear friend, Kim Carlson, who suddenly passed away. It's been a few weeks. I think it's been about 3 weeks now, and her funeral is on Friday. So it's been like we have our anniversary this week, but then we also have a funeral of an old friend. Like my husband knew her before he met me 20 years ago. And obviously, like our lives have been kind of different on different paths, but she lives up here. She's a local Estes Parker. She's lived up here for over 20 years, and now she's just like gone. And I like want to celebrate my marriage with my husband, but then I just have that other energy. And so Friday, which is tomorrow, is her service at 11 that Rex and I are going to go to together. And then we do have plans to celebrate finally our anniversary. So I'm just holding space for that, and knowing that I know that death is not the end. And I'm just sending like so much love and light and healing to her family, because I could only imagine. It's like this time of year already has so many triggers and all of the things. And then a death of a child and a wife and a sister and a friend and a coworker. So many things. It just really makes me like dig and explore like my legacy and what I'm leaving behind, and that making sure that every day that I am doing the things that I really like feel called to do. But even yesterday I wasn't feeling called to do anything. But I say that, and I actually made 3 malas. It was just like a day of feeling kind of like heavy and yucky and truly like wintering. I was feeling like, okay, now pull your head out of your ass and it's okay, and try again. And like today, this is Thursday's my work day that I podcast, and I get to make my yoga class for Awaken You Healing Center with Shelly on YouTube. And it's like, we just have to take it one day at a time. And I'm sure tomorrow is going to be a really freaking hard day. I haven't been to a funeral since my grandpa passed away when Junie was a baby. No, that's not true. I had a friend who passed away when I had kids, Randy Daigle. I remember that. Funerals are hard, even though I know that there's life after death. It's just holding that energy, and I just really am it's just important to protect our own energy and have compassion, but not overflow and take on other people's energies. How is this holiday season treating you, right? So we're a week into December, and if you are kind of falling in the holiday frenzy, it can bring up a lot of anxiety around so many things. I know, especially finances, because a lot of people reach for their credit cards and charge things that maybe they don't have money for. And I know that can be a struggle because then people are working the next months, if not half year to a year after the holidays, to make up for all of the debt incurred. So just remember that gifts are amazing. And right, it's really, when people say it's the thought that counts, it really is. It's like the heart that you put into the gift. It's not the freaking amount of money that you spend on the gifts. And I know I'm noticing that the older my kids get, the more money their gifts are, right? They're like higher items. But like Jack, he still is like asking for pretty easy things. I'm like, but I still can find myself like, I think I've spent well over $1,500 easy, if not to $2,000, probably about $2,000. In some years, like I've spent, I think in the past, like I've spent like $4,000 on Christmas. I'm like, what the, like really? You don't need to spend $4,000 on Christmas. Like that is ridiculous. And then we have Junie's birthday is 4 days after. So I usually set aside about $500 for my kid's birthday. So it's like, then that rolls on top. And it's like, okay. So instead of kind of getting lost in that, that I need to buy and get all the good, amazing things, which I still do. And again, it's like that thought and that heart connection that counts. And I do just like, I love homemade gifts, and I haven't really made any homemade gifts this year. Actually, finally yesterday, I made a mala for Junie. It's kind of like a birthday Christmas present, and I was going to wait to give it to her, but I really could tell that she needed the energy. So I made it and I gave it to her, and she was like, "Oh my gosh, I love it so much, Mama." I put it on and it feels like a part of me. It feels like I don't even have it on. And she was so grateful, and like just that right there. It's like amazing and magical. And knowing that wherever you are in this holiday season, and I know that our family can just bring up so much shit. And there is this thing that when we get together and our family members, I'm sure I've talked about this before, that sometimes we just like resume the roles that we played when we were kids. And so that's where a lot of that like family drama and the turmoil and the kind of angst or resentment or guilt or shame or whatever comes up around the holiday season, that's where it comes from. So I really have done so much freaking work, and like the family that I spend my time with is the family that I want to be around. And it's very, very orchestrated. And it's obviously taken like almost 40 years to get here, but I choose the family members. I don't choose to be around any toxic family members. I don't. I have made like very healthy boundaries, and it might not have been easy at the time, but it was liberating. And that I don't allow those old cycles and roles to surface. My sisters, Jenny and Mimi, and I have really created like what we want the holidays to be. And with me and Jenny's family and Amy's family, we have like 19 people. And sometimes our other sister, Melissa, comes, and sometimes she doesn't. And I'm just open to, if she comes, that's awesome. And if not, it's really okay. And it's okay to just spend the time with those people that you really want to spend the time with. And I feel like we get really guilted into it. I need to spend time with everyone and go back and forth. And I think of that Vince Vaughn and Reese Witherspoon movie, Four Christmases. Have you seen that yet? If you haven't, it's like cute and hilarious. And both of the actors, Vince Vaughn and Reese Witherspoon, both of their parents are divorced. So they have 4 Christmases to go to on Christmas Day. So they're literally like, it's like a rat race again, just like, and all the crazy dramas. And that just would not feel good for me. I'm just so grateful. And this is actually going to be our 3rd Christmas where my sisters actually come up to Estes on Christmas Day. They usually get here around the afternoon time. And then we spend Christmas Day and we make a big old feast and huge messes. And how many kids? Like 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 kids. And then my friend Jess, this will be her 3rd Christmas with us too, that she comes to. And it is just kind of a chaotic, amazing, imperfect Christmas, and I love it. And my sisters stay the night, and we've been finishing our basement, But as life works and construction works, like nothing ever works out the way you think. We had to like modify the bathroom and swap the toilet and the vanity and the sink. Oh, so just for that, we had to get it the re-engineering. Can I talk? We had to get the drawing re-engineered and then resubmit it, and then now it has to go through another freaking 2-week process. So hopefully I turned it in on Tuesday. I'm like, please universe bring that back, because it'll be so nice to have a finished basement with my family here for Christmas, but it might not be finished. And we might just have to put all the kids downstairs on concrete floor and beds. Or I might just like get a big old carpet and unroll it and then just make all of the beds for all 9 of the kids, and it will be fine. And like, that's one of the things is like, you know what? It's going to be perfectly imperfect no matter what, no matter if we have the basement finished or unfinished. And it's just going to be what it is. It is. Oh, soul sister. Okay, what else is on my heart today? I think, so this is my trigger from yesterday. So Milo, I don't know if I've shared this, I don't think I have yet, I think he came to me a couple weeks ago and he shared with me his reading teacher was saying something about thinking that he might have dyslexia, which, if you know or don't know, it is a reading disability or a reading challenge where there's kind of a lot of different ways that dyslexia comes. I know with Junie, I think Rex is here, so if a door closes, it's him. Like for Junie, the words get swip swapped, letters get swip swapped. I know I have an old friend who used to be in my women's circle, and she has very severe dyslexia that it almost looks like 2 lines are running together and it's moving, and it makes her like motion sick, like super challenging and crazy. And so with that said, it's like the way we process information. So that is for everything when it has to do with school. And I don't know, I've been like kind of in denial, honestly. Like I homeschooled Milo for 2 years and I thought there's no way that I could have 2 kids that struggle with dyslexia. Like, would the universe do that to me? Not do that to me, but so long story short, I have been hearing that dyslexia is hereditary, and I've never been professionally diagnosed, but I know in my heart that I had struggled with dyslexia as a child, and it's really mild for me now as an adult. I've really learned how to cope with it, but I never had any support at all my entire childhood, school career, never, but always struggled. Like school was so freaking hard. I had to work really hard, and then I would get really discouraged, and then I wouldn't try. And I think I graduated high school with a 2.0, and yeah, and it was hard. And so I reached out to Milo's 5th grade teacher and said, I heard that Milo's reading interventionist teacher said this, and I have been noticing, like I have noticed some markers, but kind of was not willing to admit it fully. And so, yeah, we are getting Milo tested, hopefully that we can get him a professional diagnosis, because he does show all of the markers. And I actually got to have a really awesome email with Milo's reading interventionist teacher, and she was just saying really kind, amazing things, that Milo is like one of the kindest students that she's worked with in 24 years, which is like incredible, because when he was my student, it was like horrible for us. And I now am like, fuck. It was because he didn't understand. He didn't understand, and I didn't understand that he didn't understand. And then I feel bad, and I have this like shame and guilt, and I need to allow it to come up. And I think that that's where all that trigger came. And I had to say that out loud. So thank you for holding that space. It is hard, and it's okay, and it's gonna be okay. I know it is. It's just like this initial, like when you first hear of that, like I remember I felt like this for Junie when she got all of her diagnoses when she was 10. It was fucking hard, and I felt like I had a lot of grief that I was experiencing, and I really just allowed myself to let it come up. And I feel like this time I'm like, I feel strong and rooted, but still just like that sense, that underlying sense of sadness. And it's okay. And I also know that the dyslexic mind is such a freaking brilliant and a creative and amazing mind. And I know that all of my children are perfect just the way they are. And that's the bottom line. And I will do whatever it fucking takes to help support my kids and help them be their best selves. And this is just another one of those hoops that we have to jump through and doing the things. And it's a little frustrating because the testing center doesn't have space until literally the end of Milo's school year. But I'm just advocating for him. I reached out to another mom that I know that her son also has a dyslexia diagnosis, and he has a 504 plan. In schools, they can do these different plans, like a 504 plan or an IEP, an individual education plan, which Junie always had an IEP plan. But I'm really hoping that because Junie does have a diagnosis, that I can use that, because dyslexia is hereditary. And this is like another one of those things. It's like you have to let go of like, oh my God, I did this. I gave this to him. I gave them the worst parts of myself. Like, no, thank you. I don't choose that. I gave them all of the best, most creative, amazing parts of myself. But it is easy for that freaking inner critic to come in and talk all this shit and say all the mean things and just blow it away. Just blow it away and just freaking show up for the things. And so, where was I saying? Yes. So I did reach out again yesterday to advocate Kate that maybe before the testing that we could get him like a preconceived dyslexia or some sort like that, to get him a 504, because I do have this girlfriend who is a teacher and her son does have dyslexia, that she thinks that hopefully we can get him this 504 plan that really gives him some kind of modifications for how he learns. And yeah, it was really like one of those divinely orchestrated moments too. Yesterday, Milo like lost his new like $130 size men's 11 bog boots that we just bought him. Just like, lost them, and it's been snowy and freezing, and I've been like really on him, like, Milo, what? You lost your boots. And so yesterday I'm like, well, Milo, I'm just going to come into the school and check the lost and found and make sure your boots aren't there. And his boots have been gone for like 3 days. And so I get to chat and connect with this lady who literally orchestrates and facilitates all of the lost and found. And oh my gosh, she was like amazing. She said she worked at the YMCA for a lot of years, and she would organize and facilitate the lost and found for the Y. And she said it was just like a much bigger scale, and it was like returning someone's wedding ring to them or watch, or, big things, like bigger than like a pair of gloves or boots. And she was like, I haven't seen any boots. And so Junie and I go in and we have to check in at the front desk, get our little badge, and we walk downstairs and we go into the closet, and it is so organized. The woman has it like hung up by jackets and sweaters, and she has bins of hats and gloves and miscellaneous and boots. And of course there's nothing. And I'm like squatting down, and these two tiny little girls who are probably like, they're either preschoolers. They actually have preschoolers in our school, which is crazy, or kindergartners, and they're tiny. And I think that they were one of my new house cleaner's daughters. They're just like these beautiful little pumpkins. And one of them was like, I think I lost my pink gloves that might be gray or black. And oh my gosh, just like their energy and their light. Like, I know I had to come in to connect with their little energies. And I was digging through and I didn't find them, and they were just being so sweet. And Junie's like feeling super awkward being in the school with all the energy, and like the bell had just rang, and this other little girl with like kind of really pin straight short hair with big, big, big wide open blue eyes was like, I lost my kitty gloves. And I was like, oh, do you want me to find your kitty gloves? And she goes, oh, no. And I'm like, okay. And it was like, I know I needed to be at the school and I needed to connect with these beautiful little girls. Like, and then Junie and I get up and I'm like, well, you know what? The lost and found woman said to walk down to Milo's classroom and check his cubby area. And so there's like kids just like rushing through the hallway, like getting to their classroom everywhere. Junie's feeling super uncomfortable, like holding my hand, like kind of pulling away, like, get me out of here. And we walk down the hallway and I see Milo's classroom and I look in and I see Milo's teacher and I like wave at her, hi. And then I like dive to the side to check out Milo's cubby and she pops out and she was like, oh, I got your email. Did you get mine back? And I said, oh, yeah, I'm so sorry I didn't respond to that. And we just kind of were chatting a little bit. The class was getting crazy and she poked her head and she was like, she goes, classity class? Excuse me? Like, get your shit together, kiddos. Just because I'm not in there doesn't mean you get a free for all. And then she came back and I said, I read a bunch of Milo's work that all of his like writing and stuff, it just makes so much sense that are just like huge signs. Like he doesn't see punctuation. He'll be like, and period, the cat went on to the street and period. And I like read through all that. I said, I went through his work and I've like seen markers of like suspecting that Milo has dyslexia. And I do want to go through with a testing. And I said, I found this clinic in Fort Collins who actually, this guy's all about unlabeling and like healing dyslexia. But he's like super expensive, like thousands upon thousands of dollars. And I'm like, I don't know if that's going to be a good fit or not. But I said, he is going to give us like the readings and would that help? And she's like, well, we need the diagnosis. And I'm like, fuck. So I said, okay. And then I'm like, I'm going to go through that. And then she like comes with me and I tell her about Milo's boots. And she's like, I know how expensive those are. I had to just buy my 5th grade daughter a pair of new bogs. And we look and Milo's boots, hooray, were just like under a pile of weird, like there was like a Tupperware tote and like a jacket and a bunch of crap. And they were in a black bag, like in a black Vortex, but we found his boots. And yeah, it was really good. And I was just like talking about Milo and she was like, you know what though? It doesn't seem to bother him, like the dyslexia, like it doesn't bug him. He's not like fazed by it, but it would be really helpful for us to get this 504 plan in place before he gets into middle school because he's in his last year of 5th grade. And yeah, so it was good. And it was just like, I needed to go into the school to find the boots. Thank you, Boots, for being my scapegoat to get me into the school and like connecting with a teacher. And then I connected with all of these people and I'm doing the steps. And even if it takes the 5 to 6 months to wait, that I'm advocating now for Milo and trying to get him the help that he needs before he does go into middle school, because middle school is a way different ball game than elementary school. I know like that transition might be really hard and it'll be like a really helpful thing to have this like school plan that will help him. Yeah. Thank you once again. I feel like I'm just talking to my soul sisters and sharing. How are you? What are you struggling with right now? Like, what is your family struggles and with your spouse, with your kids, with your communication, with maybe self-doubt or inner thoughts, or maybe even again, like the financial aspect. I know the holidays, I noticed that like poverty mindset liking to slip in. It's like these old subconscious programming, these old subconscious thoughts that arrive around the holidays. So you just kind of need to check in with how you're feeling and honoring that. And I really have been like, I really check my thoughts this time of year and I reroute back to gratitude and always that gratitude practice. I'm so grateful to be alive. And, or maybe if I'm stressing about finances or whatever, which I don't need to do, it's like such a silly thing, then I reroute my thought with prosperity thoughts. And there's a lot of times where I don't feel like the power or strength in that. And so I resource and I find people, I do the YouTube Red, so I have no commercials. And I will find like Louise Hay has this beautiful gratitude morning meditation and it's like 30 minutes and you just set an alarm like 30 minutes before you want to get out of bed. And then you turn it on and listen to that. And even if you fall back asleep, it's fine. It will go into your subconscious mind. Or I listen to, his name is Justin from You Are Creators. I think You Are Creators. And he has a bunch of amazing, really powerful affirmations. And even I have on Awaken You Healing Center with Shelly. They're older videos. I'm almost thinking I need to configure and make some more videos with affirmations. Maybe that's what I'll do this week instead of doing a yoga class, is I'll do some like positive affirmations. You know what? I just made my mind. I'm going to do that and post it. So you can head over to Awaken You Healing Center with Shelly. It'll keep me accountable, and listen to some positive affirmations. Maybe when, like, in the morning or afternoon, or when you're just having a hard time, like, we really need to remember that the thoughts that we're thinking are what is creating what we're feeling. And so when we're feeling really low and crappy, like, I'm now noticing, kind of like reflecting on yesterday, I was really getting down about Milo and dyslexia. And then I was thinking, well, shoot, like, does that mean Jack has dyslexia? Because he's a second grader, and he flips B's and D's and M's and W's, and I have no idea sometimes the words he's trying to read. And then I think, well, he's a new reader, and Milo really just started clicking with reading this year in fifth grade. But then you see some other kids, and they're just like crushing it, reading all fast and amazing. But, right, we can't compare ourselves and our kids. Who knows? But I do notice that I do know that I was getting really down, and he went skiing yesterday because his company's been slow, and he was gone, and it was our anniversary, and I was kind of like, this just feels like kind of like a bloppy shit day. And I just was in the bloppy shit day, but even in the bloppy shit day, I was able to create and make 3 really beautiful malas. So I think that sometimes we just have to like let go and surrender and go with the flow of freaking life and stop trying to control everything, Shelley. When we stop trying to control, it's like everything happens. I am finishing the tail end of my 300-hour yoga teacher training. I have to get my ass in gear. I have 3 weeks left, which I can totally do it. And this beautiful class I just watched, she had all of the students in their shavasana, the pose of surrender, and she was saying something about like yoga isn't asking us for much. It really isn't. It's just like allowing us to let go. Like, yoga is like this reminder. Let me see if I can find my notes. I don't know, what did I have? Oh, okay, that's not the right thing. I was looking at my computer, but just like that letting go. And when we let go, we'll realize that there really wasn't anything to hold on to. That when we surrender, it's like, really, there wasn't anything that was like wronging us or hurting us, that it was us. It was our inner voice. It was the energy we created. It was the thoughts, the emotions that were swirling and twirling around that created this like larger than life feeling that maybe we felt like was unbearable. That's like sometimes how anxiety can come. I know that for myself, I will be like a rock star and just feeling so grounded and rooted and awesome. And then all of a sudden, this just like, holy shit, uncontrollable anxiety, suffocating feeling arrives. And that was a lot of what yesterday was. And it was like, oh, yeah, because I was like feeling bad for myself. I was feeling bad for my son. And I needed to feel that. And remembering that there's no right or wrong, that we are meant to experience this gamut of human emotions. And even when it's that blame or that shame, those low vibration emotions, but just to make sure that those low vibrational emotions are not taking over and consuming you like your whole life. Like, yeah, I had that shit day, and now I can feel like, like, I got dressed today. I put on some warm socks. I brushed my hair. I put on some makeup. I'm here showing up with you. And I'm doing it. And it's cold. And it's blistery outside. I'm looking out the window. And I'm just like seeing, like if you listened to last week's episode or not, the wintering within me, that I have to allow myself permission to go with the flow of winter. To when it's cold, what does that feel like? Feel what it feels like instead of dreading it. I was going into this supermarket that we shop at occasionally, and these girls were coming outside, and she was like, oh my God, it's so cold. And of course our voice is saying that it is freezing cold. Yeah, well, just feel what it feels like to be cold. Because once again, if this was our very last day on this planet, we would just want to feel all the things. We want to experience every moment, and we wouldn't want to like shove it away and deny ourselves from experiencing what the universe is bringing to us. No, we just would. And it's so funny because, right, our inner voice just likes to narrate and say all the things. I have had these like moments of pure presence and clarity. Have you ever had those where you're just like so submerged in the moment? I had this beautiful practice the other day, and I can't remember if it was like right before bed or first thing in the morning. I've been waking up before my kids in the morning and just doing my practice. And I, for like the first time in a really long time, was able to just be so present with my practice and be like, I'm so grateful to be alive. And that was the only thing I thought. And that was the only thing I was feeling. And it was like I could pause. And I had this undeniable feeling of peace and just calm wash over me. And then it was like my next thought that I chose, like, I am so grateful for my breath. And then I could just only feel and only experience that breath and that inhale come in and that exhale go out. And it wasn't this like constant stream of like, blah, 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 blah. It was pure presence, pure presence. It was beautiful. Have you ever experienced that? I test you. I challenge you to allow yourself permission to be fully submerged in the moment. Be, as Eckhart Tolle shared with us, in the power of the now. That's when we're just here. That's like why sometimes when you're with certain people, like I have these certain people, like my soul sisters, certain ones where I can be with them just so present, and then time just like flies by, and it's like, whoa, are we in a vortex? Like I could, wait, what? It's been 4 hours. Like, are you kidding me right now? What? And it's because we're so present. And when we're so present, like time isn't linear. Time doesn't exist, but it really does. Because you're like, oh gosh, my kids, my dogs, my we got to make dinner. Right? We know that we have to do all of the things. Like, it's undeniable that, like, I know I have to wake up in the morning and I do my practice and I got to get my kids ready, make sure they have all the things. But then the rest of the time, like, I get to choose. Like, I know I have these things, but it's like Louise Hay, I was listening to her beautiful gratitude meditation, and it was like that there's going to be like pleasant surprises and delightful experiences when we are open to them. Like, we know that there's a plan. We know we need to get these things done. Yeah, that's fine. But still just like allow yourself that beauty. Like yesterday, I did just, even though I had that craptastic day morning, I just still like allowed myself to float into the school and connect with these beautiful little girls, connect with my son's teacher, who I was like not feeling super connected at the beginning of the year. And every time I see her more and more, I'm like, oh my gosh, I just really love you. Like, I love you. And I'm so grateful that you're here with all of these kids, because I don't freaking know how you do that. I couldn't do that. But I just, more and more, I feel her heart and I feel her energy. And I'm like, wow. And I just did. I showed up and I was present. So I invite you, my beautiful soul sisters, to be present in today. Like, yeah, you know, there's all the things you need to do. Like, it is inevitable that we're going to need to eat lunch, that we're going to have to make dinner for our family, that there's going to be messes once our kids get home. There's going to be like lots of things happening. But how can you really just submerge yourself in the present moment and maybe do something for you, for your highest good? Like, if you're struggling a lot today with overwhelm, a sense of unbalance and unease, or family drama, or communication issues, or financial troubles, whatever it is, what can you do to help support yourself in that? Like, what positive action or thought, or perhaps little baby micro step that can you do to put yourself in the right direction? And I really believe it starts first within here, within our heart and within our mind. So maybe just take like a little noticing, like a little scan of your mind. Maybe your self-talk, is it toxic? Is it toxic towards yourself? Is it toxic towards others? Is it toxic in your relationships, towards your finances, towards your health? Like, what thoughts are streaming through? Is it towards, what is it? Just notice. There's no judgment. Or is it just like blah, blah, blah? This was like so sad. Once again, the other day, Junie was just having such a hard time listening, and just, she's been like yelling at me and just being such a freaking like 13-year-old. But I am like, I am not signing up for like that you're just a teenager and that's like just how it goes, that you're snotty and rude and bratty to me. Like, no, thank you. And I call her out all the time. And then finally she was like, it's because my inner bully is so mean to me. And just like breaking down, bawling. Like, she says the meanest things, that I'm stupid and I can't do things and not to listen to you. And all the things that we know that our inner critic, our ego likes to say, just like that negative freaking dump. And like how powerful that she is, almost 13, and this, she already has this awareness right after a huge boil up. And there was this activity that my sister Jenny and I and another soul sister Sarah, we used to do when we taught in the classroom. We used to teach this program called the Life Loves You Project, and we were just bringing like mindfulness and thought awareness and breath awareness, and just like you get to be in control of yourself and you get to choose things that you want, and with movement and love and support and compassion and forgiveness and so many things. And we did this exercise. It was called the inner bully. And I actually came up with a form, and I just found like kind of just like a silhouette of a face. And then it was like copied and pasted in the middle of the page. And then it was like the top of it said inner bully. And you can do this with yourself. You can do this with your kids, and, or you can call it inner bully. My sister calls it inner stinker to her kids, or inner critic, or inner bitch, or asshole, whatever you want to call it, because it is a bitch or an asshole. It's super rude. And then with the face, you can draw like, we drew like squiggly, gross eyes, and then like a furrowed V eyebrow with a pointy nose that pointed down, and then just like rah, and then crazy gross hair. And then around it, you write all the mean things the inner critic says. So I'm not smart enough, I'm not pretty enough, I'm not good enough, I can't listen, I can't do anything, I don't do anything right, I wish I was never born, I shouldn't even be alive. Literally, like Junie said that. I'm like, oh, those are hard. It's hard to hear that, but that inner critic, it's so similar. I challenge you to ask yourself if you've had similar thoughts, because I feel like 99% of us experience the same things in different experiences. And so with Junie, we like write everything down. She writes some down. I write some down, all the mean things that it says all the way around. And then I said, well, do you believe that? Like, how true? I picked up the paper. I said, how true is what she says? And she was like, sometimes true. And then I said, will you take this paper? And so what we'd have the kids do is everyone stand up, take your paper, and get freaking mad at it. Like, destroy this inner voice. Like, no more. We say no more. I take control. And Junie was like kind of feeling like, whoa. And so she barely like started like crumbling it. And then she started ripping it in long strips. And I was like, Joneson, we need to get like mad. We are telling this inner voice, no, thank you. We're choosing again. And then we could do this at home, but in the school, we would just have the kids rip it up and they would stomp it and be like, it was like crazy awesome energy. And the teachers would always be like, everyone calm down. I'm like, no, you have to let them like invoke these feelings and let it come up and be like, no, F you, like no more inner bully. And then we would let the kids like throw it in the recycling bin or trash can, whatever felt better for them. But at home, we burn it on fire. So then Judy and I burn it on fire and just, and then you go back with a clean sheet of paper and you can draw the face if you want or not. Junie like struggles with drawing. So I think we didn't do a drawing this time. And I said, Junie, now we're going to choose. What do you want to think about yourself? What positive thoughts do you actually want to think instead of all that yucky stuff? We let that go, like, whew, goodbye, no more inner bully. What is it that you want to think? I am smart enough. I am good enough. I am a great listener. I'm really organized. Anything that you're struggling with, we need to turn those thoughts and those belief systems around and put them in the positive present tense. So if you're struggling with your finances, like, and in the negative, or your credit score is low and you can't buy a house, but you've always wanted to buy a house or buy a new car, whatever it is, you have to start with changing the way that you're thinking about things. And when you change the way that you're thinking about things, inevitably you change the way you feel. And when you change the way you feel about it, you're changing your frequency and the energy that you're putting out into the universe. And then when you change that frequency, like attracts like, right? Quantum physics. What we put out into the universe, what we become, what we think is what we attract back into our life. So, right, it can take time. Louise Hay has shared with us, we know this 200 to 300 times, to say a new thought and believe it as your truth. And that is the key with manifestation and the power of thought, is that we can think we have to align how we feel. And when we align our feelings into our thoughts, it shifts and it freaking changes. I swear you. Rex and I used to always be in the negative bank account balance. Like we used to have no money, like paycheck to paycheck, like unpaycheck to paycheck. When we were talking about this, like when our kids were really little, we couldn't even buy them clothes. Like we barely had enough money to get by. And now we have like an over amazing abundance. And it started like 8, almost 9 years ago when I started like noticing my belief patterns and mindset about money. And I was like, holy shit, I have such a prosperity mindset. I am always in this lack thereof. Like every time I'd pay my bills, I felt like scared and terrified, and it manifested and it grew. And I just got to this point where I was like, no more. I do not choose this. Like, this is not me. Like, this is my past self. I recreate myself. And I found Bob Proctor, or he found me. And I wrote and say this prosperity mindset quote affirmation over and over. And it sounds long at first, but now it's just a subconscious thought. I am so happy and grateful now that money comes to me in increasing mass quantities from multiple sources continuously. And then every time it snows, I think of money as abundant like the snowflakes, and that there's just an ever overflowing abundance amount of snow for everyone, for everyone. Or I look at the mountains in front of my house and there's so many trees, like there's more than enough trees, but then you can look up some mountains and it's very sparse. And so I look at that and then I reflect, like, how am I thinking about money and my finances, and how am I feeling when I'm checking my bank account? How am I feeling when I'm paying my mortgage? Or right now we don't have car payments because we've paid them all off. It's like magical, fantastical. And how am I feeling whenever I get groceries? I remember I used to be like, oh my gosh, I have to spend so much money. And now I'm like, I'm so grateful. And then another beautiful affirmation is like, I'm so happy and grateful now that all the money that we spend comes back to us in ever increasing abundance. It's like, just because it goes out doesn't mean it doesn't come back. Money is just a form of exchanging energy and time and effort and work, right? That's what we do. And so it's just like switching the way we think and the way we feel about things. I know that I talk about this all the time, but I feel so passionate about it because it's literally shifted and changed in my life. And I know that it can in yours too. And we just have to align. Deep breaths. Oh, my beautifuls. And in this time of gift giving, this time of holiday seasoning, this time of family dramaing, this time of inner turmoil or financial struggles or gains or whatever it is, that just hold yourself, show up for yourself, right? Be here for you. Be here for you how you know that you need to be here for. And we can't always rely on other people unless we ask them directly. And I know sometimes with my husband, like I have all these expectations of him, and then I think of, I never communicated that with him. And so if there's something that maybe you need from your partner or parent or spouse or child, ask them. Be a clear communicator. For the holidays, give yourself and those around you the gift of clear communication, of communicating through your heart, even when it's hard. Even when it's hard, when the holidays are gathering and the people are around. I actually just watched, have you ever seen The Family Stone? I love Christmas movies, obviously. I like watch all of them. The Family Stone, it has Diane Keaton. It's like an older movie. I think is it Rachel Adams? No. Is Rachel Adams from The Notebook? You know, the main character. She's like this like bratty sister, Sarah Jessica Parker. And I'm like the actor from My Best Friend's Wedding, the main husband. I don't know his name. I'm like, I know what movies he's from. But that movie, The Family Stone, just about this like perfectly dysfunctional family, and Diane Keaton is actually like dying of breast cancer, but like isn't telling her kids, and she has 5 kids, and one of them is kind of like this rich businessman, and he brings Sarah Jessica Parker home, and she's like this weird, like they call her a throat clear. She's like, and she's just like really harsh and says the wrong things. And then the daughter, who's like kind of like bitchy and bratty, and then they have a son who's deaf and he's also gay, and then they have another son who's just kind of like this free spirit hippie, what's his name, I like know his name, and then they have another daughter who's actually the mom from Twilight, and I can't think of her name, and she's just pregnant and really friendly and kind, and it's just like all about family drama and perfectly imperfect, dysfunctional families, and like that shit happens, but you come back together with love with your family and you accept people for who they are and you stop judging. And it just is like a waterworks show. So if you are in for a good holiday movie, I would definitely recommend The Family Stone. It was super good. And even if you have to rent it for like $3, well, worth it. I think we watched it on Amazon. It was a great movie. So my beautiful soul sisters, I love you. And yes, our self-care practice, as we said, is give yourself the gift of clear communication this holidays by saying the hard things. I notice in my throat chakra, in my actual physical throat, like I actually will get pains when I used to. I don't get them as much anymore because I'm a very clear communicator these days. But I used to get this like hard lump, or my voice would like crackle up. When I first started podcasting like 3 years ago, my voice physically hurt when I would start podcasting for like 15 minutes. But the more I've learned to speak my truth, the more I speak my truth from my heart, not my ego. I'm not like saying rude things and being just like a jerk to be a jerk. Speaking straight from my soul, my heart, my light, my inner spirit, that there's so much healing that happens between you and yourself, you and those around you, because our relationships are our biggest teachers. And the way we communicate, right, is everything. So give yourself the gift of clear communication, whether it's like writing a letter or an email or a text message to someone maybe that you've been having struggles with, and remembering, right, those healthy boundaries are so crucial and so essential. And I know this time of year can be like, well, I can't have healthy boundaries because I have to. Well, you don't have to do anything you don't want to. You get to choose. And the choice is yours to be a clear communicator. I love you, my beautiful soul sisters. Know that you are capable of anything that you put your mind and your heart to. And even on those hard days, that pick yourself up, dust yourself off, choose the thoughts you want to think. When you choose the thoughts you want to think, it's inevitable that the beliefs follow. Please head over to iTunes and leave Awaken You with Shelly Bond a 5-star rating and a review, and it means the universe to me. Really, my goal this next year is to grow and grow and grow. I want like 1,000. I want 2,000, 5,000, 10,000 listeners. My goal is to share this message and bring as much love and healing to women as in the world as possible. So I'm putting out there, I want to grow 10,000, 20,000 people. The sky is the limit. It doesn't matter. It's just a number. I'm putting it out into the universe and it makes me smile. Please share this with someone that you love. And it is time. We'll start our probably next couple podcasts. We're going to talk about our New Year's intentions and New Year's goals. So that's going to be coming up. And I'm also finally feeling called to share my birth with Junie. It's like hard to talk about, but also really liberating because her birthday's coming up. She's going to be 13. I love you. Give yourself that gift of clear communication. You can follow me on Awaken You Healing Center with Shelly on YouTube. You can check out free classes and all of the amazing things that I do, sharing love and healing with the world. Instagram, Awaken You Shelly Bond, and also Facebook, Shelly Bond. I love you. I'm so grateful for you, and I'm just grateful for the gift that is you. I really hope that today, that you can give yourself that gift of clear communication, saying what it is that you want, asking for help. If you need support, it's okay. There's no shame. We really were meant to be on this planet to connect with people and to share ourselves, to share our lives, to share our hearts, and to just be here. I love you. I'm so grateful for you. I will be back here hanging out with you next week.